Hello, everybody. It is John Pollock here alongside Ting. We are live today. It is Friday, March the 4th, going into AEW Revolution weekend. We will be previewing the card on today's show and going through some other news items. But how are you doing, Wei?
I'm doing well, John. Happy it's Friday. Bit of a break, and then big pay-per-view on Sunday night.
Oh, yeah, what a break. We are going to be doing this show, and then we're coming back live tonight, and we should go over our new format. So tonight, we will be live right here on this channel for everybody at 11:15 p.m. Eastern Time, and the way it's going to work is that the first 20, 25 minutes or so will be free for everybody. And then if you want to catch the entire show, that will be for post-wrestling cafe members. If you are a cafe member, you will have the same login access. It's just another Friday, and there is no change to what you have to do to listen live. But we're gonna give the free viewers out there a peek at what goes down on Friday night. And if you want to join the cafe, then you get all access to Rewind-A-SmackDown. So that is beginning tonight. Great response to Wednesday when we went live after Dynamite. So we will see if any companies are purchased tonight and then can supply a great lead-in for us.
You think perhaps on Rampage or on SmackDown
Out comes
tonight.
Vince McMahon. I have bought insane championship wrestling.
Well, it would be quite the bombshell. Yep. Yes. So again, if you are a patron already, you will get a Zoom link as you always do, and you can choose to join us there throughout the duration of the entire thing, or you can jump into the YouTube and join some of the other viewers. But at some point midway through the show, we will go over to Zoom and we will take your phone calls and do things as we always do.
All right. Well, it's a big weekend. That means a big show here on the Post Daily News Show, and we are going to now welcome in from upNXT, around the corner from the Post office, adjacent here to Post Wrestling, he is Braden Herrington. Hello, Braden.
Hello. Hey, what's going on, fellas? Oh, I love that countdown you had there.
Wow, yeah, I mean,
it's countdown.
Yes, some of my finest work.
It's great.
For those of you who are only listening, we have a countdown, of course, created by the wonderful Dickie Bird, but now we actually have music that goes attached to the countdown every time we start one of these live broadcasts. And who can provide the beats but Ben Tramer himself? And who is Ben Tramer?
I'll tell you who Ben Tramer is. Ben Tramer was my soundtrack throughout the month of July and August, as I listened to nothing but Ben Tramer, that helped produce the special Ting post profile.
Oh, that is correct. Wow.
I heard every one of his tracks. I was like listening to it when I would go out. I did a heavy deep dive into the world of Ben Tramer.
That was the biggest flex I got from anyone. I mean, yeah, so I do like beats on the side and stuff like that. Hit me up. But I heard you, John, you were like, oh, I was just going for walks, listening to them. They were great. I was like, yo, I'm doing something right if someone's just listening to these while they go get their daily coffee. So no, thank you guys. And I mean, I do podcasting, of course, but I do like the music stuff. I love making beats. It's my side thing. At the Brady, let me know. But how cool is it that we got Dickie Bird doing visual stuff for you, and then my beat over top, man, that guy is incredible. And shout out Dickie Bird, because all the stuff he's been doing for you guys look spiffy with these daily news things. You guys are like top. You guys already were top notch, and we already knew that. But now with these things, you're untouchable. You're unstoppable.
I've heard that this show is so good, you even catch it occasionally.
Dude, it's true. It's because it's during the day. It's like you could be waking up, you could be going to bed, you could be doing anything, and it's on YouTube. So yeah, that is true. It is true. And I was like, well, since I watch it and since I listen to it, why haven't I been on it yet until today?
Well, you know what? Sometimes you got to earn that invite to get to the big show here on the Post Daily News Update. But we are going to be discussing AEW Revolution, and we'll get lots of information out there. If you're in Toronto, a great chance to experience the pay-per-view with other wrestling fans this coming Sunday night. But let's get into some of the news items, and WWE confirming the location and time for NXT Stand and Deliver, which will in fact take place on Saturday, April the 2nd, which is the day of the first night of WrestleMania, and they will be staging the event noon local time in Texas, which is 1 p.m. Eastern, and will be taking place at the American Airlines Center, which they are running the night prior for SmackDown and the Hall of Fame, and coming back to with Raw on Monday night. So this had previously been reported, but WWE now confirming it with tickets going on sale next Friday. And I'll throw it to you, Braden, as you and Davey consistently covering NXT 2.0 every Tuesday night. As you're looking at the American Airlines Center, this is a gigantic arena. I don't think anyone is expecting even for this to be half full. But what would you say is a attendance figure that you could expect for a big weekend, but one in which NXT, this will be their first time outside of the Performance Center since the pandemic?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting because they haven't left since this, especially since the whole change. Before, the takeovers felt like it was something that a lot of these fans wanted to go to more so than a lot of the other events. And now I feel like it's really in this weird spot. I mean, how much will Dolph Ziggler, if he's on the show, actually draw to these arenas? Or will a lot of these people who are going to be there anyways just go, screw it, it's NXT, let's go watch this? But I can't see it being as crazy as the older takeovers and all those events. But I think it does have some interest because it's the first time they are leaving this thing. It does put a lot of eyes and some interest into it. I mean, obviously with Braun Breaker, the Steiner kid, being the champ, you would assume he's in the prominent main title picture. I don't know who his opponent would be at this time to make this feel like it's such a big draw, but if you're in the area, wouldn't you want to go to these shows, especially since it's just during the day? It sounds like it would be fun.
I think it's kind of compacting it all together, way that I think that if you're looking at this, it's, an audience that potentially could be going to SmackDown or the Hall of Fame the night before. You're not even taking into account the non-WWE events that are going to be plentiful throughout that whole weekend. And as well, the idea of, let's say, a 2.5 hour show, probably 2.5, you're looking at maybe 3 hours, and then you're coming back for 4 hours that night with WrestleMania. I would imagine that, you're looking, I would say optimistically, you're hoping for, I would say 3,000 to 5,000 people. And I would say 5,000, I would say, is not a given. But I think if it's anything in that ballpark, that really does tell you the power of running WrestleMania weekend of an audience that is looking for a lot of wrestling and is curious enough to go watch this in person.
Yeah, I think so. And realistically, I don't know what WWE's expectations would be for a show like this. I think choosing this building is as much of a
logistics
convenience as anything else. You're already booking the place anyway. You've got a stage and a ring set up already. So it makes maybe a bit more sense to do this than to have to carry your video equipment all the way across town to a smaller place just to brag about a sold out place. It will be a test, but I mean, to me, it makes sense from a logistics point of view.
How would you assess, Braden, where NXT 2.0 is now? It's certainly been a major adjustment, but how would you say the show is flowing right now and having a lot of integration with the Raw roster, at least with AJ Styles and now with Ziggler and Rude?
Yeah, it wouldn't be a good idea. I mentioned Ziggler because he has been kind of dancing around. He's in a title match this upcoming week. It's a triple threat. So, I mean, you could still put Ziggler in a match on this show. I think having someone like an AJ would have been more useful to have him maybe face someone on the show as well to kind of get that other main roster name, because some of the work that the guys have put in and the women since 2.0, there's been a lot of stuff that people have not liked, but there is some stuff that shines through. For me personally, I love Carmelo Hayes, and I'm like, okay, that's a guy that I could see being a pretty big star. And he's already announced kind of that there's going to be this North American title ladder match. I mean, that sounds already hey, that could be pretty cool. And it has my interest for that match. Other stuff that people are talking about, again, Braun Breaker in a title match, but I want them to kind of think outside the box a little bit, having this the first takeover. I mean, sorry, the first non-takeover.
We don't say that word anymore.
Yeah, sorry. Well, the last takeover, it was so good when Walter and Dragunov fought that they stopped using the name Takeover. I wouldn't mind seeing maybe bring in some of the NXT UK talent in there as well. Maybe do some something with Miko. Book Miko versus Io. Why not? But I don't know. It's of course I'm going to watch it, and especially during the day. How cool is it that us on this side of the world get to watch some wrestling during the middle of the day? But
this is totally tailored. This is a gift for Davey.
True.
You get a 6 o'clock time start for him. I'm sure he will very much appreciate that.
I don't think it is, because he's got like a whole thing going on with like the grapple people that weekend. So I don't know if this is definitely like a big like monkey wrench in his weekend plans. But we will of course be covering the show and doing it, of course. But I'm gonna go in with like being super positive, because some of the specials that they have delivered on TV have been pretty good. So like, if they're doing a big show in an arena like this, it should bang.
Yes, we will see what is in store for Von Wagner and company coming up on April
So
2nd.
excited. Yeah.
Dynamite ratings on Wednesday night, they were delayed, came out earlier today. So they did 966,000 viewers, down 4%, 460,000 in the 18 to 49 demo, which finished 8th for the night, behind the NBA game between the Knicks and the 76ers. And the rest, it was like, again, heavy night of news programming. It was like 16 of the top 20 cable programs were dedicated to news coverage, and Dynamite finishing 8th for the night, also doing 135,200 in Canada, down 10.5%. So this was kind of like a middle of the road number for Dynamite. It wasn't through the roof, but it was also not down to any drastic degree either. I would, much like we saw with NXT on Tuesday, with Rampage last week, and even Raw, news coverage is continuing 1 week later to be dominating cable.
Yeah, I think as expected, it seems to be the trend. And I mean, I think there would be some interest to see how this week did, because of Tony Khan's method now of peaking these shows for these big announcements. And I don't know if exactly you can read so much into it, just given the, I think, unexpected level of competition from the news. But all that said, at least in terms of online buzz, I felt like whatever tactics he was using certainly worked.
How did you feel the announcement landed, Braden, and the reaction you've seen to the Ring of Honor news?
Yeah, like, hey, it's super cool because this company has been a thing in wrestling. I've personally loved going to dingy hockey arenas outside of downtown cores to watch my pro wrestling, but it had.
I think the Ted Reeve Arena might be retired at this point. I don't know what companies are going to like. The only show that I'm seeing, like an independent show, is the Greektown show that's happening at Kerr Hall West at Ryerson University in April with Rob Van Dam in the main event.
I do think I should start some sort of online thing to help me get in a smoke sesh with RVD while he's in town. But
Josh Alexander's on that show.
I do want to check that out. Yeah, the indie stuff is coming back. I know Smash Wrestling was pretty cool here as well. But yeah, I think Ted Reeves Arena outside Toronto Core will probably be retired. But yeah, I love Ring of Honor, and it died the past few years, and to have Tony kind of buy it is interesting for sure, but I don't think it's as big as a lot of people are saying. Like, I don't think it's as big as, of course, Vince buying WCW. But I do think it's cool that they can use the tape library and eventually put that on some sort of streaming stuff. Eventually, I'm talking probably in a long time, lots of edits, I'm sure. But like, it's interesting that the Fed doesn't own some property of wrestling history. Like, it is like, oh, okay, well, they don't own that, so there is potential of something else happening. I think it's cool because it's changing things. It's not just another company that we can go, oh man, remember Ring of Honor? It's like, oh, they'll still be around in some way, shape, or form. And if that means it's some sort of developmental, then that's pretty cool as well. But I feel like the shock factor isn't anywhere near like the level. I think it's cool, and I want to see where you can go with it. But to kind of hype it up as if it's some sort of like game-changing thing, it's going to change wrestling, I don't really see it as that, but I do think it's cool.
Do you look, and we'll move on to the pay-per-view after this, but in terms of that Ring of Honor library, is it something for you? Because you're a bit younger, so I don't know if you were necessarily following ROH in the early days, but is that tape library more so it's enticing as an add-on to a larger AEW streaming service versus like Honor Club, for instance, that, they got the first year of that up, but on its own, that's not enough to hook you to sign up for a service?
Yeah, I always wonder that. When I was younger here in Canada, I subscribed to the Fight Network, where you got like to watch. They always aired old Ring of Honor shows or best of or pay-per-views and stuff. So that was like kind of my first introduction to that. And then years later, working at Fight Network, I realized that I secretly had access to their entire tape library just because they do air their stuff on there. And I always wondered, like, when will this show up? When will you get to see your Seth Rollins, Tyler Black's footage? Or because WWE used to love playing footage of all their big stars from back in the day, and now that it isn't in their hands. Again, it's very interesting, and I would say it's still just like indie wrestling. A lot of it is shot really dark. The audio might not be very good. There might be some things in it that are maybe dated years later, but I am interested in seeing, if you're a big fan of someone like Danielson, you can go back now, or eventually maybe, and go and rewatch the history there. But I'm not as big as a fan as trying to act like anything that happened or was canon in ROH is like some big needle moving thing in like AEW. Like, for someone who didn't watch something like almost 20 years ago, are they like, if you didn't know CM Punk said all that stuff in his promo, when MJF said all that stuff this week to him, it was still a great promo. But when you knew that, it was almost like little Easter eggs, like, oh, he's doing.
It's a bonus for the fan that gets the reference, but it doesn't isolate you if you're not. It's still still works in the context of the delivery on Wednesday.
So far it's good. So far they've been doing a good job. Week 1, I guess. But no, AEW is pretty good at that, sprinkling things in history and stuff like that. But again, it's awesome that something isn't in the hands of WWE, and I want to see where they can take it.
And Wei, if there is a match where the cameras are not white balanced, can you correct that easily?
With modern tech, I mean, have you seen the Beatles Get Back documentary? Dude,
I haven't.
They can do wonders, Braden. Isn't that right? With shitty footage. So we get Peter Jackson on. Whoever at Turner, the equivalent of Peter Jackson on that team to fix Joe versus Punk 2. I'm sure it'll look perfect.
I think of all the matches we could look back at. Joe Kobashi, Naito versus Beer City Bruiser. I mean, we need to run that one back eventually.
The 1-2 in most people's lore of Ring of Honor.
Yeah, it goes like that, and then maybe Joe Kobashi. But like, there's lots of matches that definitely people. We do a wrestling podcast just like you. Me and Davey do so many podcasts where we try to look back into the history of wrestling and cover it. It's so easy to go on the network and pick up an old WCW, WWF, or even ECW pay-per-views and watch them, where it's not easy to find Ring of Honor. You got to be one of those tape collectors or DVD buyers from those tables for years and years and years. Like, someone right now is really mad that they thought they had this like holy grail, this hidden gem of all these DVDs of ROH, when maybe in minus 5 years that'll all be available to someone like us just online. But yeah, I wanted to just be able to watch more wrestling. If someone goes, hey, did you ever watch Joe versus Kobashi? It's pretty good. I want to be able to just go, hey, let's throw that event on in the near future. I have an issue with AEW having their content not so accessible. Trying to get people into wrestling should not be as hard as to go on YouTube and go, hey, here's this full match they uploaded. They don't really do that as much, where WWE does do that. And I think it helps if you were to put something on YouTube a year removed. Like, why isn't Danielson and Omega from Grand Slam just the full match? It should be on YouTube. It should allow people to go, wow, this is something I could be watching week to week. But there's some sort of disconnect. So I hope that maybe there will be some sort of hub that isn't WWE for all the other wrestling. Like Impact. Get Impact.
All right, let's move on to the pay-per-view on Sunday. They've got Revolution taking place from the Addition Financial Arena in Orlando, Florida. That is about the most corporate-sounding arena name that we have stumbled upon recently. But that is also the site of tonight's live Rampage. But for the pay-per-view, we have Hangman Page against Adam Cole in the main event. Earlier this week, Tony Khan had stated that is scheduled to close the show, which is quite the task, way to be following everything else that is on this card. That's going to be probably the most difficult position on this card for these two that you figure has to go probably 25 minutes minimum, I would think.
I would think so too. And again, anytime we go on live pay-per-view, part of the interesting dynamic of it is whether or not they can reach the appropriate time, whether the entire show can reach the appropriate time and not get cut off. And I think AEW's managed to do a pretty good job of that throughout their previous pay-per-view, so I don't really have much of a concern there. But of course, I think in terms of crowd interest, in terms of heat, in terms of emotion throughout the evening, I mean, we're talking about a match that has to follow a dog collar match between Punk and MJF, Danielson versus Moxley, which I think should be heated. I think even Jericho and Kingston should be really heated. So is the crowd invested enough after all of that to want to see Hangman Page defeat Adam Cole? A match that I feel like is a bit of a foregone conclusion that Page will retain. But nonetheless, in terms of in-ring ability, those two I think are absolutely fantastic. I think they've shown to have pretty good chemistry in their little interactions on Wednesday. So I hope they have something really great planned.
Yeah, and I would say, Braden, what they also have is that we have seen in several of these Hangman matches is the use of blood. That I would say on a show like this, where I think it's a given we get it in the dog collar match, and they've all but promised it in Danielson Moxley. I don't know. Maybe we're going to get an exceptionally bloody pay-per-view on Sunday, but is this a foregone conclusion of Hangman retaining this title and just trying to create enough doubt within the match that people believe Adam Cole could win this?
Yeah, I think the story itself maybe hasn't been properly executed, but again, on paper, the battle of the two Adams, it's good. Both guys are really good at their craft. I'm super excited for this match because I think people are sleeping on it. I think people are like, but we got all these other ones that this one might not deliver. I think these guys will definitely deliver. I think they will get 25 minutes or plus. And again, kind of the ROH stuff, like their story goes back, which I think they didn't play enough on going into this thing. But again, like anytime Adam Cole, watching him in NXT, he would always deliver in his main event matches. And you could say the same thing with Hangman, whether you like the title reign or not. Like all the matches have been good and bloody. So yeah, I do think we see blood. Maybe, you know what? Maybe Hangman won't bleed, and this will be the one exception. But I think there will be a lot of blood on this show. But this match will not disappoint.
The dog collar match. This has been an exceptionally built-up program between MJF and CM Punk. They had the match on TV a month ago, and some terrific segments over the last couple of weeks, including an absolute bloodbath on television this week by Punk, and I think we're getting double blood in this match. And I would say, Wade, like this, like on paper, I think like this should set up the next title challenger coming out of this. Like this should be the end of the program, and you could go the direction of Punk challenging for the title or MJF. I think that's, he's got the Wardlow program at the side that you can always accelerate, but I think like this should be creating your next title challenger.
Yeah, by all accounts, this feels like it's the number one contenders match. I mean, really, MJF is somebody who I think has been booked so strong over the past year that he seems already due for that spot. And, you're not going to get a bigger win than defeating CM Punk on pay-per-view. So I think it perfectly positions him. Look at this graphic with the dog collars that they photoshopped in. Wow. It's
they
quite
literally
fantastic.
Put dog collars on both of them. Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, but in terms of violence, I mean, God, like if they're gonna do blood in this match and the main event, I think it's a bit much. Like I don't think it's necessary, and especially like I wonder if Rosa and Baker will attempt the same as well, given their last match.
And then they're gonna auction off the canvas afterwards. It'll be a memento for somebody out there. Just
I don't think
this could be a bloody pay-per-view.
I don't think you'll see blood in the main event with the two Adams, just because this one will be way too violent. But I do think MJF should beat Punk. I do think Hangman should beat Cole, and Double or Nothing main event should be MJF Hangman, where start the bidding war of 2024.
It would be a really long time to get it all the way to Double or Nothing, though, wouldn't it?
You need to do the rubber match before that. So in between there, you would have a big TV.
Between who?
No, because MJF already beat Punk, so I guess you don't really need that third one.
I could see them doing it on TV, like for a big edition of Dynamite or one of those Saturday shows.
Where do you put this on the card, Way? The dog collar match.
Dog collar. Okay, very interesting. I would say somewhere in the middle. And I think like Tony Khan is like a bit more traditional, it seems, putting the championship in the main event, and therefore I think he would put the women's championship semi-main.
Okay, yeah. And that can segue to Thunder Rosa challenging Britt Baker. She pinned her on television this week. And yeah, this is the rematch from the St. Patrick's Day Slam last week, a match that was one of the best that Dynamite has presented. Some people's match of the year last year. So high expectations for this one. And I would say, Braden, like they have certainly created the stage here for Thunder Rosa to win the championship.
Yeah, I was super into this story. It almost felt like the equivalent to like Hangman Kenny, but until like the past few weeks, even this week, definitely, I feel like all the heat behind it is kind of sizzled out. Whereas if you asked me last week, I think Thunder would have won, but I think maybe I'm gearing towards Britt retaining instead. But if you do that, I don't think there's any other like actual huge contenders to go up against her. So it does make sense that Thunder would beat her. But I'm kind of a little let down on how they treated this storyline the past little while. I thought for sure we'd get it just kicked into next gear, and it didn't quite do that for me. I am super excited for the match, but not nearly as I once was. I did love their first encounter, but I don't know if it can top that.
John Moxley and Bryan Danielson. This is one where I could see this anywhere on the card. I could see them putting it on late. I could see this opening the pay-per-view. Like I think like, and whatever opens the show, like it's you just have such depth on this show. But this has been another really, really excellent build. And I think that this is one where I do not see this being the culmination. This is more so the beginning of where they go after this. And if they have an alliance or they kind of have their separate squads and kind of continue to feud.
Agreed. Yeah, absolutely. Again, this felt like it was the match that they were going to get to at the end of it all. If they are going to, in fact, form a stable, at least traditionally, you would have figured that you save the singles match for after the stable breaks up. But instead, they're telling Chapter 1, they're kicking off the story with the actual singles match. So, no, I don't think it'll be, maybe a match with a result that climaxes things. But I'm very interested to see how they move on from it to tell the rest of their story.
Chris Jericho against Eddie Kingston. Braden, Chris Jericho has gotten into phenomenal shape for this one.
Yeah, I mean, we know he loves his Tito's vodka, which I think also Ed Sheeran says that's the best way to stay in shape. Just drink vodka. So maybe that's what he's been sticking to. But he looks incredible. I mean, he can't go out there and start talking trash about Eddie Kingston's looks if he didn't look like that now, right? So, I mean, yeah, I actually really like their promo battle. Was it last week or whatever, hyping up, or maybe 2 weeks ago, hyping up this match. I'm a little excited. I think this can be something that we haven't seen and super interesting. But yeah, he looks jacked.
Yeah, and I mean, Way, in terms of like outcome here, which way do you lean towards here?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think Eddie Kingston is due for a big win. I think, it's to me unbelievable how over he is, despite maybe not necessarily always getting like the big push as a principal guy on the show. And I think the story is set up for Eddie Kingston to be able to answer the challenge of Chris Jericho. Can you overcome your self-confidence issues? It would be really disheartening if the answer was no, but of course it's pro wrestling. They could do anything to justify any sort of excuse.
There's an interesting story there too. If he loses and you further explore this theme, rather than it just being a 3-week thing, he gets the win and boom, it's over. I think like I wouldn't be upset if they went the other direction, and it's like more of a spotlight on Eddie Kingston and going deeper with like the self-confidence thing.
That is very true. Yeah, I mean, again, I think there's a lot more story to be told with this particular feud, and I don't necessarily see it being completely extinguished after just Sunday.
The face of the Revolution ladder match, we have Keith Lee, Orange Cassidy, Powerhouse Hobbs, Ricky Starks, Wardlow, and then tonight's winner between Ethan Page and Christian Cage. I think Christian being in this match adds a lot more intrigue to it, just with the history, and it's become a rarity for Christian to have a match. So we'll see who ends up being the sixth man in here. I guess right now a lot of people are looking towards Keith Lee, that this would be a big win for him. Could you see arguments for others in this match to win?
Yeah, it makes the most sense for Keith Lee. Like they've kind of he had that one match and then he's just been chilling, being interrupted. I think it's kind of been killing his vibe right away since AEW. So having him win here definitely puts him back in that spot. Give him some attention. Put the TNT title on him for all that matter. But I like the story that Wardlow kind of teased, like, hey, maybe I could be the TNT champion as well. But and you think it's going to be Christian? I agree. I think that adds a lot to the match. But who's the other person? Is it Swerve? Is it Jeff Hardy? Who is it? Who's the final guy?
Is there a mystery person? I thought it was just the six.
Oh, is it? I thought they were adding another one. I don't know. There's always big announcements. I'm forgetting.
I mean, you could always add someone in. I just don't know if they have promoted that fact.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it would be time to introduce somebody, though, again, if they're not going to win, right?
Yeah,
they do that a lot.
Yeah, if it comes down to that. Jurassic Express, Red Dragon, and the Young Bucks for the Tag Team Championship. This is going to probably be a terrific 18 minutes or whatever they have. And another match where you could put it almost anywhere on the card, I would say, Way.
I think so, too. In fact, I think I would actually start with this one. Anytime you have the Bucks on a pay-per-view in any sort of lengthy match, and for Red Dragon, their first AEW pay-per-view, man, I think those guys are going to look amazing. The combination of the three are going to be incredible. So to me, like, this really has a chance of not necessarily being the emotional peak of the show, but I think in terms of in-ring action, it could definitely steal the show.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely smoke one before watching this one, because it's going to be crazy. And I definitely think Jurassic Express. It's either Jurassic Express beating the two legendary tag teams and kind of giving them that rub and allow the Bucks and Red Dragon to feud, but also Red Dragon, I think, winning is a little bit more interesting for the tag division.
I'm sure Jim Ross will be giving the audience the same advice ahead of the match.
That's another dream smoke stash there, JR. I heard rumors he loves to smoke.
The card rounds out with the Tornado Tag Team match. Sammy Guevara, Sting, and Darby Allin against Andrade, Matt Hardy, and Isaiah Cassidy. Jade Cargill against Ty Conti for the TBS Championship. And then the buy-in has Chris Statlander against Layla Hirsch and Hook versus QT Marshall. So, I mean, with Jade and Ty Conti, I think this is going to be more than your typical like Jade squash. I think you have to do more of a real match, but I would still keep this to 6-7 minutes. And honestly, like the trios match, I think it's totally under the radar for everyone. Sting always hustles so hard in these matches, the limited times he goes. And this is in an environment where there's going to be some insanity in this. I hope no insanity involving Matt Hardy. But you certainly have the talent here that this should be a fun 12 minutes for what it is.
Matt Hardy always gets on the pay-per-view. You're always paying to see Matt Hardy wrestle, no matter what.
It'll be fascinating to see, whether or not we get any sort of tease of a Hardy Boys reunion. Of course, we're very close to Jeff Hardy's contract or 90 days being up. And
with a tornado match, I mean, could we? I mean, we don't have countouts in this, but could Matt Hardy just leave mid-match to go take selfies in the crowd?
They've already done that spot, though.
Yeah, they've kind of run out. What else could they do? I don't know.
Maybe a backstage interview with like loud music. Afterwards.
Maybe they will. Matt will be going over strategy in the back, and Brandon Cutler will be recording it, and Matt's not acknowledging the camera, and he'll just say, "Yeah, Jeff's coming to AEW." He's really excited about it, and then he'll tweet the next day that nothing is. Hopefully he's going to come, but nothing's finalized yet.
Well, if it's Matt Hardy, he's going to film it in the sketchy stairwell that the Hardy family office keeps hanging out. I think finally this is the end of Hardy being attached to this family office thing, right? Like he's got to lose, take the pin, and Andrade puts the boots to him and tells the boys like he's out. He's his cut from this family is over. I think.
All right. Well, there you go. This is a loaded show on paper. I think this is one of the best built pay-per-views for AEW. I think this has the potential to be their best show of the year. I have very, very high expectations for this pay-per-view on Sunday night. And Braden, why don't you let everybody know what's going on Sunday night in Toronto? You're going to be doing a watch-along here in town where people can watch Revolution.
Yeah, this is super cool. Obviously, during the pandemic, I'm in Toronto. We couldn't really do anything or go anywhere, so we started doing a lot of watch-alongs, which we still eventually will do, but then we wanted to do them in person with people and friends and make friends and watch wrestling. So finally, we're being able to do that. So for this pay-per-view, if you are in the Toronto area, GT area, follow us and stuff, because we will be hanging out, watching Revolution on Sunday at Hard Luck Bar. And well, I have an Eventbrite. It's like $11 online. We will be charging $15 at the door, cash only. We got food from Sneaky D's. They own both bars. So I don't know if you're aware of Sneaky D's, but if you aren't, you should, because the nachos are top rated. I mean, Pollock, beans on the side.
King's Crown. Throw the beans out in the garbage, but yeah.
In the garbage? No.
He doesn't even order them on the side. He just beans are one of the best parts.
What a psycho. The beans are really good. Yeah. So we're gonna have all the drink. I think I'm gonna pull a Tony Khan and just walk around, hand out White Claws. I'm gonna feel great. I'm just excited to hang out.
There's no better party host than Braden Herrington.
Mm-hmm.
This is true. Right before the pandemic, we did one of these takeover tailgates for UpNXT, me and Davey, and we just had a blast. And then we were hit by the pandemic, and we couldn't really do this. And we're gonna try to do more of these things as well. We have some things planned for WrestleMania in the Toronto area, and I know we did go to Grand Slam in September, and we probably will go to Grand Slam again. So we're probably going to try to do something like a takeover tailgate there. But so many things. But again, come hang out for Revolution, because I want to see you there, especially if you're in the area and you're like, oh, I'm just going to sit at home and watch it. No, come watch it with us. And I'm super excited. But at upNXT Podcast on Twitter, at the Brady on Twitter as well for all the updates. You'll see all the posts and stuff. But yeah, I just want to be able to do stuff, watch wrestling, with people again, because I was sick and tired of staying at home and watching wrestling, and I can just do it at home at a bar and stuff like that. I'm super excited, and I know it'll be a lot of fun. I know you guys won't be there because you'll be doing your show, but I know you're there in spirit. I'll make sure to eat all the beans on the side for you, John.
Sure, you can do that. I know. I don't think WrestleTix is tracking this, but I understand the advance is very good for this. So if you do want to pick up tickets, like there's going to be a sizable crowd that is there on Sunday night.
One person messaged me being like, I don't know what AEW is, but when I looked it up, I saw Matt Hardy was on the card, so instantly bought a ticket and is coming to the show. I'm excited. I know friend of the show, Mike Murray, is going to be there as well. So
he might be selling 8x10, sir.
He'll sign them too. I'll sign them too, no matter what. We do have prizes as well. We're gonna have a raffle, and I don't want to be Tony Khan and just say we have huge announcements.
Are you just giving away Davey's stuff while he's gone?
Yeah, all his shit. We have some AEW merch to give away, even some post wrestling merch now. I might be giving away. So yeah, honestly, I just want to have some fun, and watching wrestling is my escape in this crazy world we live in. So if you are in the Toronto area, come hang out, because I'm super excited about this.
The link is in the show description, or you can go to twitter.com/upnextpodcast. It's the first thing that's pinned right up there.
And then tonight we've got SmackDown, which is taking place from Miami, Florida, and they have announced Ronda Rousey versus Sonya Deville, so her first TV match since coming back. She had done the house shows last weekend, and then the Usos defending the tag titles against the Viking Raiders. After, if you tuned in to Elimination Chamber, you finally get that title match tonight. And then Sami Zayn against Ricochet for the Intercontinental title. Over on Rampage, we have the live edition taking place from Orlando with Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, and Andrade for the TNT title. Keith Lee against somebody. Serena Deeb's 5-minute challenge, and then Christian Cage against Ethan Page in the final qualifier for the Face of the Revolution ladder match. And then once again, we will be live tonight, 11:15 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on this channel. It's a packed weekend with Rewind-A-SmackDown tonight. Saturday night, Phil Chertok and Eric Marcotte will be live immediately after UFC 272 that is headlined by Jorge Masvidal and Colby Covington. 5-round welterweight fight. You've got RDA fighting late replacement Hanato Moicano on the main card. So subscribe to the channel and you will be constantly alerted when we are going live. Sunday night, Wei and I are here on the channel as well, right after Revolution with our post show. So lots of stuff to look forward to, Mr. Ting.
We have a few super chats to get to, John, before we get out of here. First of all, we go to Boondock Saint 316, who sends a $10 super chat just to say, Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Wow. Happy Friday.
It is now, yes.
Happy Friday, Boondock Saint 316. We go up next to Dan McCrae, who sends a $5 super chat, who says, what is the dress code for the Revolution watch party? How nice of a hoodie are we talking here?
Ooh, yeah. I mean, if you it's a wrestling event somewhat, so I mean, you should wear black. Obviously, black T-shirts are allowed, black hoodies allowed, any hoodies allowed, anything is allowed. But you know, if
you've also got the Brandon policy, where if you show up, it'd be nice for you to introduce yourself.
I will say a few people asked if we could do like a costume party, and I was like, that's a bit much. I don't want to walk, it's a lot.
It's cold outside. Come on.
Yeah, it's cold here. But if you do show up in costume, maybe I'll just give you the prize right away, our first prize raffle. Because I mean, if you dress like a wrestler, maybe you should get a replica title to go with that costume, is what I'm saying. But yeah, I'm super excited, and I love AEW. It definitely feels like it like rejuvenated my love for this silly thing as pro wrestling. So yeah, thanks for having me on today too, guys. I appreciate it.
Hey, you're not done, Braden, because we got one more super chat here from Mr. John Cino, who sends a $4.20 super chat just for Braden. Who is the Briggs and Jensen between John and Wei?
I think that those I think those are very self-explanatory if you watch those videos of which one is which.
I'm trying to think. Have either of you ever been in the friend zone?
Both of us hate cars. I don't think you and I would ever have a vague conversation
trucks.
about cars.
Yeah.
Have you ever steaks?
Yeah. How do you eat your steak? Both of you, quickly.
Medium
Don't
rare.
lie.
Medium rare.
Okay.
Like a real man.
Yeah. That's the only good answer. As long as you don't put ketchup on it like Pat McAfee, we're good.
All right. Well, thank you for your 420 question, Mr. Cino. So, Braden, as we get on out of here, where can people catch yourself and Davey and the upNXT network?
Yes, shout out DVP all the way across the pond. Yes, of course, we cover NXT every Tuesday night. We go live on Twitch, twitch.tv/upnextpodcast, and we talk about NXT, and then we put the pod up on our free feed. Go subscribe to that. But we actually do cover Dynamite every week as well. We do it simply because we're like, well, we're going to watch this show. We like the show. We're going to cover it. So we do BDE Elite every Wednesday night as well, and that's on our free feed. But so many other podcasts we do, patreon.com/upnext, including a show we do called Best Match Ever, which we have one coming out. I'm going to upload it right now after this. And it's Best Match Ever, Shane McMahon. And talk all about, I know we should have got you on for that one.
Do you hit play and does the file just like buffer?
Yeah, it dances around for a long time. Yeah, we cover all the other the best Shane McMahon matches throughout his career, including, yes, the infamous Kurt Angle one, which we definitely heavily talk about. But yeah, patreon.com/upnext. We do so many podcasts, retro NXT reviews, the best match ever, retro pay-per-view reviews, movie reviews, all that stuff. And last plug, because I know people are excited about the Batman. Well, we've also been doing free Batman movie reviews, including Lego Batman, which we did with Wei, which was a lot of fun. But we have our Justice League, yes, the original cut show coming out for free this weekend as well. So many podcasts again, guys. We're just trying to follow in the footsteps of the legendary John Pollock and Wei Ting. But me and Davey do a lot of podcasts, and we'd love for you guys to listen and give us some feedback. So at upNXT Podcast on Twitter for all the updates.
All right. And all of your news can be found up at postwrestling.com. Andrew's got a bunch of stories up today, including the news about Michael Elgin filing a lawsuit against Impact Wrestling, story about Big E, kind of comparing him and Kofi Kingston's respective WWE title runs, Finn Balor believing that NXT stopped preparing talents for the main roster. So lots of great stuff up there, plus a new edition of Post Pro Res with myself and WH Park going through all of the latest Japanese wrestling news and video with WH Park. Our lawyers were at negotiations for weeks and months, working out our next in line program for his name, his image, and his likeness, and we got WH Park on video. So you can check out all of that here on the YouTube channel. WH had nothing good to say about Braden Herrington, but he's a fan of mine, so I'll take that.
What was he wearing on the show? Was he wearing shit gear?
You know what? Only the finest from WH Park. But there you go. Check all of that great stuff out. We're back tonight. Rewind-A-SmackDown, 11:15 Eastern, right here on the channel. Thumbs up on the video, subscribe, and we will chat with you tonight. And this concludes your Post Daily News Show.